Hi there and welcome to the channel. My name's Nick Stubbs and today I'll be reviewing the Putrims K12 home projector. Now the usual caveat out of the way, I was sent this for review so I haven't paid for it, but like with everything else I get asked to review, I checked it out first, had a look online, had a look at their website, looked at other people's reviews, had a really good look through and decided that it's actually something that I could use and hopefully some of my viewers could too. Now Putrims haven't told me what to say, this is going to be a completely unbiased review on my findings, on how I think I would use it and whether I think it's good enough or not, so I will be pointing out some of the bad stuff as well as the good. So let's get to some of the main features before we go down that road. First of all, this has got Google TV access, all streaming apps, that includes Netflix, Disney, YouTube, Prime, all of the others. So it's actually built into the machine, you don't have to add any other dongles or any other connections to it, it's all built into the actual system. Secondly, it's got Google Voice Assistant and control through the actual handset, so you don't have to go through that crazy typing by using the arrows, which takes ages to actually look for something. You just hit the Google button on the remote and then just say what you want. So it's very, very simple, and in my testing it worked really, really well. Next, it's got autofocus and auto keystone. So autofocus is obvious what it says. There's a camera on the front of the actual machine, and some people have said that they think this is spying on you from China, but obviously you need that camera, so when the projector actually puts its test card on the screen, it needs something to focus onto, and it works really, really well. It finds focus pretty quickly and it always nails it, so it's always pretty sharp. Keystone is when let's say your projector's at a bit of an angle and it's all out of shape, it looks like a rhombus or something, then using Keystone either automatically or manually you can change it so it becomes the kind of perfect rectangle. I found it really easy to use, very easy to set up, and you can lock those settings in depending on where the projector is. Next you've got Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. Then you've got a 1200 ANSI Lumens rating for the actual projector, so that's pretty bright. And in my testing, it worked in a dark room obviously very well, but even when we had either the home light on or if there was a bit of light coming through the daylight window, it still looked pretty good. Now this unit is native 1080p, so it's HD high definition, but it actually has 4K support. Another great feature, you can easily mirror your iPhone or Android devices through the system just by using a couple of quick clicks on your phone, and it will pick it up via Bluetooth, and it actually works pretty well. Next, the unit has 20-watt speakers built in, which do go quite loud, but obviously you're not going to get great bass resonance when you're watching films or music videos, things like that. But if it's just you sitting watching TV or watching something, then it works pretty well. But I would recommend, like me, you actually use a separate audio system, either connected via Bluetooth or via the actual 3.5mm jack on the back. You can also use that jack point to actually put in some wired headphones, or you can use the Bluetooth for Bluetooth headphones. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, I just want to talk about some of the not so good things that I discovered while I was looking at this, and it kind of didn't really cause me any concern, but it did make me think, and I did actually reach out to Putrims just to make sure that they were a legit company. First of all, when I checked out the Putrims website at putrims.com, that's putrims.com, I actually noticed that, you see it on screen now, that some of their website hadn't actually been built yet, so you just had the sort of templates and the placeholders there with the generic text. And when I said to them, look, you know, this isn't boding well, they actually explained that Putrims is a very new brand for them with this projector, so their actual website is over at yaber.com, that's yaber.com. So they're a Chinese company, so you go over and check that site out, you can see that they're legit, but the Putrims site is actually quite new. But even so, when I'm building a website for myself or clients, I make sure there's nothing like that. For me, it's very, very unprofessional to actually have parts of the website where there's nothing on it. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at this stage because I think the projector is actually pretty good, and they are just setting up this new kind of part of their business. So go to the website, have a look for yourself, but also check out yaber.com just to make sure in your own mind that they're a legit company. Secondly, this projector will actually go onto normal stands like I've had it set up, but you can also attach it to the ceiling. Now for that you need a 4-point bracket, which for the life of me I can't find anywhere online, but they do show it in their promotional videos. Now what this means is you can actually attach that 4-point adapter, turn the whole projector upside down, throw it on the ceiling and then project it at the wall. Okay, so let's start to wrap this up now. I'm going to quickly go through some of the points where I think this really excels as a projector. I'm going to talk about the price and who I think this projector is for. So let's start with the price. Putrims currently have this on their own website at $499, but they've also got it on their own section of Amazon for £299. Now that's way bigger than any kind of exchange rate, So if you're going to buy this projector, I'd recommend going to Amazon, getting it for £299, or for whatever it is in euros or dollars wherever you are in the world. So next, the noise coming from the projector and from the fans inside that are keeping it cool. I didn't really notice it. Once you've got a movie playing or you've got some music playing, you can barely hear the fans. It's actually pretty quiet for something of this size. So when it comes to the sound coming from the 20-watt built-in speaker, it's actually pretty good when turned up full. I'll turn the volume up on the actual machine. I'll put it on full. Okay, so that's now on full volume on there, but obviously you're better off using your own sound system if you've got it. I'm going to turn it down a little bit to there. But I would always recommend adding a different soundbar or an external speaker. Now, some people have talked about the handset and say it's not very responsive. I had absolutely no problems whatsoever. I found it really intuitive. It's kind of got this haptic noise every time you click it, so you know that what you're doing is being responsive. It's actually being received and working with the projector, especially when you're doing the kind of adjusting the screen size. So I thought the remote was perfectly adequate, but just do not lose it, because you cannot operate the projector without it. There are no controls on there, so just make sure you take care of it and don't lose it. Now, the image quality from this projector I think was sublime. Obviously it works better in a dark environment, and the 4K coming from this looks fantastic, and even the HD looks good depending on how big you blow up the screen. But overall I was really impressed, and even in a fairly light room it still worked well enough to be able to watch any sort of film or Netflix series. And also the text quality was good as well. You saw that when it was focusing, the text quality is quite good. Now if you have it at too much of an angle, then you are going to get some blurring around the edges. So try and keep that angle to a minimum, and obviously then you've got great text. And this will be good for people that are doing training or presentations, things like that, because you're going to be able to read that text from a distance. Now when it comes to gaming, my son had this on his Xbox and thought it looked fantastic. Even in a fairly well lit room, it looked really good, and even when we put the light on, it still looked really good. He was able to play it no problem whatsoever, and again, having that extra speaker makes that whole experience much better. Now I do need to note there's probably a lag of something between 100 and 115 milliseconds, so if you do start noticing it too much on faster games, then obviously you're better off using a TV screen or a monitor. So screencasting this from my aging Samsung Galaxy Note 9 had no problems whatsoever. I didn't notice any lag when I was watching a movie, so if you've got a more modern smartphone, which I'm sure you do, you'll have no problems at all. Another thing I was impressed with was the fact that it didn't overheat at all. During my review I had it left on most of the time, and now obviously you can feel some warm air coming out of the fans, but it didn't heat the room up. The actual projector itself didn't overheat, so that was another impressive thing with a projector at this price range. Now when it comes to focusing, I would rely 100% on the autofocus built into the K12. It worked really well every single time, so there was no need to actually manual focus. I did try manual focusing and it works really well with the handset, but because the autofocus is so good, I would just leave it with that. However, with the keystoning, I would recommend you do that manually. The auto didn't really work that well for me, so I'd much rather do it myself, just based on what I'm seeing. So when it comes to the keystone, use the manual setting. So finally, who's the Putrims K12 projector for? Now you may be a portrait photographer wanting to show off a slideshow to someone when you go and visit their house. You may want to project this onto their wall, something like that, just to make it look a bit more impressive rather than showing it on your phone or a tablet. Secondly, you may be a wedding videographer that likes to show some of the highlights of the day to the evening guests when they arrive, so you can either have this playing indoors on a screen or even outdoors on a portable screen. Obviously the bigger the wedding, the bigger the screen, it's going to look that much more impressive. Third, you may be a trainer or a teacher and you maybe hold courses in hotels and places on location. This is light enough and easy enough to carry around, and because the text is so sharp, it would actually be great for your presentations, slideshows and all that kind of thing. So next, you may be a photographer doing headshots for clients on location in their offices. You may turn up and all you see is a bland white wall. What you can do is use the projector to project any image, maybe just an image of another typical office, have it projected on the back wall, use the manual focus to make it slightly blurred, giving that shallow depth of field look, light them perfectly, and hey presto, you've got a much nicer image than just a white wall. So finally, you can use this at outdoor events or family parties. Quick example, you've got an evening summer's kids party outdoors. You can set up a projector outside as the sun's setting, have it playing music videos or movies or anything like that, just to keep them entertained. So overall, I really like this projector. I think the good points easily outweigh the bad points, none of which actually affect the viewing pleasure, so it doesn't make any difference anyway. Just make sure you shop around and get the best price, and again, I'd recommend going to Amazon. I will leave some links down below, so thanks for watching, and remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video.